All right. Our guest today is Liam Spence. Liam is actually the product owner and head of innovation for Zapp Payments, based out of London. Liam, how are you?
Hey, I'm good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. Doing well. So Liam and I, in full disclosure, used to work together several years ago. We've both gone on to future glory. Liam's doing very well. Yeah, trying to. So, Liam, why don't you give us the 5-minute elevator speech on Zapp? What is it exactly you guys do?
Absolutely. So Zapp is a brand new digital payment ecosystem launching in the UK this year in 2015. Basically what we do is put the power of making an instant real-time payment onto your mobile phone. All you need in order to be able to use Zapp is a bank account, a digital device, so a smartphone or a tablet, and your mobile phone. Very simple, very straightforward, and we've listened to what consumers want from mobile payments and put them straight into the mobile banking app. So
So, Liam, it's interesting in the States. Apple gets a lot of the press over here with the Apple Pay rollout. And our news media is in love with Apple payments. I know it's coming. Apple will be coming to the UK next year. But you guys jumped down tokenization well ahead of Apple, taking a look at actually how your product works. Can you talk a little bit about the security component and what you guys do around tokens?
yeah, absolutely. So I read a lot of the industry blogs on Apple as well. Fantastic, innovative, disruptive company coming into payments, and it's a very exciting time to be in payments. What Apple do is obviously put their put the transaction through the cards rails, so you load your card into their digital wallet and passbook and allow you to make the payments. What Zapp does is different to that. We take the transaction and put it through the faster payments rails in the UK, so that's off the Visa and MasterCard's kind of and so by able to use faster payments, that gives a number of benefits to the consumer and to the merchant. From a consumer perspective, the payment's instant, real time, and because it's through your banking app, you can see your balance whilst making a payment. So that's sort of one of Zapp's USPs, and you won't be able to do that using card payments. From a merchant perspective, obviously, the payment is real time, so the merchant gets the money straight into their account ASAP. Which again is a USP of Zapp and using the faster payment rails in the UK. From a security perspective, what we do is essentially a push payment rather than a pull payment. So in the cards world, in a traditional payment, and the same with Apple as well, Apple Pay. When you do a pull payment, the money is you give all your details away basically to the merchant, who's then able to go into your bank account and pull the payments or the funds away from it. From a push payment perspective, it's a lot more secure because basically the consumer pushes the money to the merchant and therefore bypasses giving away all their details, either their personal details or their card details, etc. So we're able to reduce instances of first and third party fraud completely compared to a cards rails payment. So absolutely more secure. The other thing about Zapp is that it's offered through the mobile banking app. So from a trust perspective, consumers already have their money in their bank account through their trusted brands, whether that's your Santander, HSBC or Nationwide, etc. And therefore making the payment through a trusted brand, someone you know, not necessarily love, but certainly know and trust, then that's another aspect on the security play that Zapp enables.
So you just listed some pretty good clients. I mean, I think you said at the beginning, it's been about a year live, right? And you already listed HSBC, Santander, Nationwide. So when it comes to the UK, you just named some of the biggest players.
Yeah, absolutely. So our go-to-market has been through the banks in the UK. So we've signed up about 35% of the big banking brands in the UK. So that's 35%, which is equal to 18 million active consumers. So day one, when our product goes live, 18 million active consumers, which is the same number of active consumers as PayPal has in the UK. So from the banking perspective, we're doing really well on that side. Obviously, for a payment to take place, you need not only the bank in place and the consumer, you also need the merchant and their bank, which is the acquirer or distributor. And we've teamed up with WorldPay, Optimal and RealX and Elevon in the UK. That gives us access to about 60% of the online merchants. So to me, payments is all about scalability. And from day one, Zapp has that scalability straight away, both on the consumer side and the merchant side. And that opens up the kind of interoperability that you need in order to set up a brand new payments ecosystem.
So I'm gonna show my deep love for the UK, which Liam knows I have. I didn't want to leave. They kicked me out screaming to move back to the States. It's and Liam, you live it. You're in London. You're in the fintech hub of the world now. A lot of arguments whether Silicon Valley or London or New York is really a fintech capital. I think London can make a huge argument right now. And this faster payment, the rails that you're talking about in the States, we would kill for something like that.
Yeah, sure.
The idea of having that real-time payment.
Definitely. So, I mean, London's a really exciting place to be right now from a payments perspective. Lots going on. You can't move for conferences and incubators, etc. I was up at Level 39 last week and listened to an innovation piece, which was really interesting. So, yeah, London's really got it going on. Lots of really cool startups and an interesting conferences. Finovate is going on right now, actually. So really exciting place to be. There's a real buzz around payments. So really enjoy it.
So this I definitely want to touch
on. Created the faster payment system in the UK back in 2007. Banks have access to it, and really Zapp is allowing the banks to use faster payments more from a C2B perspective and P2B perspective. So that's great. There's only 8 countries in the world that have real-time payments, and I've been reading keenly that the US and the Fed are really interested in setting up real-time payments in the US. So yeah, that'll be an interesting one to follow, and hopefully business will take us over there shortly.
Yeah, I hope so too. We are desperate for real-time payments. I'll tell you what. I think what is interesting, and this is what I'd like to ask you, especially from a co-op or credit union standpoint. So you've integrated, and again, within the first year, that's what's amazing, having a 35% of the banking market. I guess one thing that I would like to ask you, because you're integrated so heavily with the banks, with your solution, and you're using their mobile banking solution, right, as kind of that front end, if you will. What have been the key pain points? Because I know they exist in doing integrations with banks. Is it working within the constraints of their APIs or their release schedules? What's really the stumbling block? So if I'm a product owner or a head of technology for a credit union, what is it I need to do better to partner with a solution such as yours?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting journey. Obviously, our go-to-market has been through the banks, and therefore working really closely and with their technology teams and business teams, and getting the proposition exactly right for Zapp. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the main thing about Zapp is the scalability and having all the consumers. So the best thing about Zapp is it's offered through the bank. But there's challenges associated with delivering through large organisations such as the banks, both on the consumer side and on the acquiring side as well. So yeah, there's been a number of issues with regards to development life cycles and how quickly they can get the integration gateways built, if you like. I think it's a difficult one to actually pinpoint down, but we're to put something like Zapp into a mobile banking app. The mobile banking app is just the front end, basically. It's the APIs that flow between the merchant, the distributor, through to Zapp, and then onto the bank. And some banks are innovative and forward-thinking and look to do this, to put this in as quickly as possible. Other ones have other priorities in their technology lifecycle that they need to focus on, like getting their ATMs fixed and getting their standard banking functions working. So yeah, it's been a challenge, but we've worked through it, and we've got some great guys working our technology team here who have really spearheaded it. And the banks get it. They understand that real-time payments, allowing consumers to seamlessly pay on their mobile phone at a point of sale or online is something that's a really big win for them. And so that they've really kind of laid the path for us to get to market as quickly as possible.
So, last couple of questions, and I think this is interesting. So, correct me if I'm wrong here. You actually do qualify as a millennial, barely. Right? You're on that upper cusp. Because this program with the World Credit Union Council or Council of Credit Unions is focused on millennials and their engagement from a digital perspective. So I'm curious, within the UK and within your solution, do you see more of a heavier user base from a demographic standpoint with a younger user base, or because you're in the UK and the adoption is there, are you seeing it more spread across all ages?
Yeah, it's a great question. And just start. I was born in 1980, so I am classed as a millennial. I define the millennial age between the Walkman, which was released in '78, right, and the iPod being released in 2001. So two pieces of technology that kind of quite aptly define where millennials start and finish. So millennials, obviously digital natives, always have a computer around, etc. We've done a lot of consumer insight, not only with millennials but across all kind of socio-demographic groups in the UK. And Zapp's come across very strongly and tested very well with just about everyone, to be honest. People get the fact that the mobile is the future of making payments, and that it's the one device that everyone uses. I think from some interesting analysis that's come through out of that is that a lot of the older demographic in the UK have kind of skipped online banking and gone straight from banking straight onto their mobile phone. So you've got some silver surfers using the mobile banking apps there, and they get it, and they understand faster payments. It's been around in the UK for a while to pay your plumber or your cleaner, etc. And putting this onto the device is something that's tested really well. From a product perspective, what I've tried to do is make sure we've included what millennials want from the mobile payment. So real time, obviously, age of instant gratification, social sharing. There's some of the buzzwords that we've heard from the millennials. Try to create a habit forming product. So again, this is really key when building a new product. Basically the Zapp journey, no matter who you're paying, is always the same. So you will always log into your mobile banking app. You'll always see the same screen automatically. So there's nothing else that you need to do. So you develop the Zapp habit, or what we call the Zapp habit, and that's something that has resonated really well with the millennials that we've tested it with. And kind of the old adage on security versus convenience. Millennials have an interesting take on that. So everything has to be ultra convenient, and they'll kind of give up on the security requirements to a certain extent for that convenience. Now, obviously, building a payment product has to be absolutely completely secure, and Zapp kind of benefits, as I mentioned earlier, over the card systems. But for consumers to kind of play more on the convenience rather than security, that's kind of been an interesting thing that we've got out of the insight that we've done.
Yeah, well, I can say it's been fun following the company. It's been one heck of a year. You seriously need to get over here in the U.S. we need a solution like that. What about plans outside of the UK? So are you looking at Europe?
Definitely, absolutely.
Are you looking for expansion outside just the UK?
So internationalisation is definitely part of our product roadmap. Really interested in expanding the service. I think what we need to do first is get it up and running and completely nailed down as a success story for the UK, and then be able to kind of take it abroad from there. We rely upon faster payments and honours payments in order to allow that kind of real time flow of the money. So obviously that's straightforward in the UK, but not so in each and every country in the world. So there are a couple of things that we're looking at and strategic partnerships that we could adopt in order to take it international. But I think really the critical thing for me as a product owner is to get it working and set it absolutely spot on in the UK, and then we've got a success story to sell on.
Well, what I would tell our credit union audience, really across the globe, Zapp's one to follow. The story has been, I'm not kidding, over the past year, unbelievable. Just look at their customer base. You can see the success they have. Liam, good choice. you did well and you landed well, and good for you. It's really happy to see how well you're doing, and especially with that company. And thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. Any questions? More than happy to either hit me on Twitter or I think my email's on the presentation. So yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, we'll do that. Excellent. Thank you.
Yes, Sam.